inking, line work, line art. Whatever you want to call it, I think we can all agree on one thing: line art is essential. It's often the first phase of creating a full illustration and can either make or break the design. So I thought, instead of being stuck with horrible line art for the rest of my days, I decided to master the art of lines like a pro in just 7 days. And here's how I did it. To track my progress, I wanted to start from scratch. So on day 1, I just drew line art the way I always had, with no references, no guidance, just relying on pure artistic instinct. And this was my baseline, and not the greatest, I know, but I was curious to see how much I could improve by day 7. This is where the real learning began, research day. I scoured the internet for every inking and line art resource I could find, watching videos, taking notes, bookmarking all the useful advice I could get. I clicked, I watched, I liked. Just like you should do now. Go on, leave a cheeky like and subscribe for your boy. Anyways, I took in all I could regarding the theory behind line art. There was just one problem. Everyone had different ideas about what makes good line art. So how was I supposed to figure out the best approach with so many options out there? Well, that's what day 3 was for. Welcome to reference stacking. I decided to take a little detour and wandered into the wonderful world of Pinterest. Here I wanted to switch off my brain and just go through and find the best piece of line art I could find. It didn't matter why, it just had to grab my attention and scratch that line art itch. So I went through and landed on this one piece of line art that would be my building block. And then I found another one, so naturally I saved it. And then another one, and another, and another, and oh. But now it was time to analyze. So I ended up with more references than expected, but it's okay. With my line art bible in front of me, I studied each piece meticulously to figure out what I loved about it. Then, the light bulb moment. I started to see the links, the common denominators that kept rearing their head. I noticed common elements from my day 2 notes showing up in these examples, and also realized what was missing in my own work. And one of these key insights that I noticed was missing was something I like to call total line weight. I happen to notice that many pros use thinner lines overall. If my usual brush, say, was a size 12 pixels, theirs was often closer to 6. And I noticed that this slender line weight gave their art a sleek, polished look with room to thicken in strategic areas. I also noticed that thicker lines were often used in spots where objects were foreshortened or closer to the viewer. Armed with these insights and many more, I was ready to put them into practice. I began by re-inking my original sketch from day 1. I kept in mind the notes I had written, such as the total line weight, so I lowered my brush size and was mindful to keep it at that same size for the entirety of the line art process. The minimalism was a nice change, and already with just a smaller brush, it felt more sleek and I felt like I had more options to thicken where I needed to. But before moving to the next step, I duplicated the current line art just so I had this base to go back to, just in case my experiments went to complete hell. Finally, it was time to experiment with line thickness. I added depth by darkening lines where parts overlapped. For example, darkening the chin where it overlapped the scarf and adding contrast where I needed it. I ended up doing this whole process for the whole piece and ended up with something like this. And you know what? I hate it. So now what? I felt like I'd done all the right steps. So what went wrong? It was time to troubleshoot. I decided to look back at my notes and saw that I was following the lines of law, but it still didn't sit right with me. Why? So naturally, I began comparing my line art to the references and I realized something. Something was missing. And that something was creative freedom. Many of the pros followed certain rules, but also knew when to break them when it suited their style. Sometimes thickening lines unpredictably or darkening whole outlines without clear reason. These choices added personality and flair even if they defied logic. Why is the line going from thin to thick here for no apparent reason? I don't know, but it looks cool. Why is there this thick, bold outline around this whole image? Who knows, but it works. Now it was time to add my own creative flair. I'd learned the rules, but now I wanted to make them my own. I really like the effect of thicker outlines with thinner inner lines, so I leaned into that. I also experimented with transitions from the thin to thick to create variety. It created some interest in an otherwise boring stroke. I also added darker lines and deep shadows for contrast. And through many attempts, I was done. The final result? A piece of line art that felt unique and polished. Comparing it to day one, the difference was striking. I had done it. I'd gone from subpar line art to something that I could proudly hang in a gallery. And now, all I have to do is colour it like a pro. But that's a video for another day. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any questions and want to pick my brain, I am always live for 1 hour after my videos go up, so I can answer any of your questions then. So make sure to ring that notification bell so you always know the moment I've posted and to not miss out on any future tutorials. And as always, keep exploring, keep creating. Peace.